You know, in a way, it's hard to dislike Elon Musk, even when you see him on there smoking weed with Joe Rogan. Any guy who is like a billionaire who has plans to launch a space trip to Mars, it's hard to dislike. And but I think depending on which side of the aisle you are politically, there is stuff to dislike about Elon Musk on either side. My dad, who I think he's just regurgitating from Fox News, always talks about how Elon Musk would be nowhere if it wasn't for Obama's discounts and stimulus for solar energy. Some of the things he's done have been kind of shady and anti-worker kind of. For example, I think he had like a Black Lives Matter holiday he wanted to start, but he did it in a sneaky way where he was like, yeah, you can go on holiday that day. We're going to have a company holiday. Of course, it's going to take a day out of your vacation, but so in other words, you can take that day off just like you could take off any other day. Anyway, Tesla has announced a split. I think there's been reporting that Elon Musk is certainly one of the richest men in the world now because of this, continuation of the amazing Tesla rally. Today we see Tesla up $100, certainly off the highs. It's just under 1,500 right now. Let's take a quick look at Tesla stock and see where it came from. They have announced a stock split today, and that has popped it up about $100, as I just said. But let's take a quick look at the Tesla chart, and then we can look at some other issues, including volatility, of course. All right, so we can see here a real pop in Tesla today. Before this was one of these sessions where overnight we had a big rally. Yesterday we were down big right on the close, and you can see the range here for Tesla over the last couple sessions here. So here is Tuesday yesterday with the sell-off, last couple of days of a sell-off in Tesla, and then boom, the pop. Tesla hasn't been performing that well compared with the rest of the market. If we go back 20 days here, you can see here is that high there. And then, now is that the all-time high? I'm not positive. Let me back it up and take a look here. Yeah, so that was the all-time high. Here, if we back it up, that's a half-a-year chart. You can see a little bit of a fade off of the high, even considering today's pop. Now, Tesla follows Apple with Apple's much publicized split coming up. We haven't had big corporate stock splits in some time. Some stocks such as Priceline that never split and just went to thousands of dollars. Of course, there's Berkshire Hathaway that's also notorious for being over $100,000. But we've had a couple of these big splits recently. Let's see where Priceline is now, just as I'm talking about it. Yeah, Priceline $1,800 right now. BKNG. This is one of course, my buddy's favorites to trade. Just never split. Some companies, they feel the need to split because they think it'll get more buyers coming in. Maybe Tesla, I think part of the reason probably Tesla splitting is also maybe they feel like it would sort of dampen the volatility in a way of Tesla to split it. But regardless, we have Tesla split that's just come out. Also, yesterday was announced that the Russians had a vaccine. Putin said his daughter had taken the vaccine. and that her temperature went up 1 degree, but then went back down again, or something like that. U.S. vaccine drugs also popping today. Moderna. Let's see, Moderna. It's only up a teeny bit right now. Let's take a look at Moderna here real quick. That was announced that it popped, but it looks like it's faded since the open a little bit here in vaccine news. So we had, I tweeted yesterday, yeah, so it's totally faded since the open. Look, you can see overnight there was the pop and then the fade here in Moderna. So these are really tough to trade. I would be really careful to trade these vaccine stocks. In my mind, it's part of sort of the biotech sector, which is a difficult thing to trade. Certainly, it's very binary in its moves, in that you get either a huge move up or down, and it's very hard to predict when that is going to occur. So there's your Moderna. To go back to Apple for a second, it's fascinating to me, the hype over Apple, and I think, just your normal quote unquote at-home investors, people that maybe check the market once a week. There's this feeling among all these people that a stock split means something's going to go up, and so you need to buy coming into a stock split. And I witnessed that by talking to some people about this out in the public. A lot of people excited about this, and they're just buying it based on the fact that it's going to split, which isn't. It's a strange thing, because a split, as we know, doesn't actually affect the pricing of a stock. It's just changing the. It doesn't affect. It's not bullish or bearish in itself. The only reason that it can be bullish is if the stock gets more publicity, as I've said before. All right, so let's take a look at volatility. So yesterday we had the potential for the VIX to actually go through 20. If we back this up to a 5-day chart on the VIX, we can see the down move and then the pop yesterday. Just been a really frustrating environment for me personally, because I've been planning for this down move, which just has never come. The down move has never come, and it's slowly been chipping away at my capital. Buying. I've been buying like cheapo out of the money puts each week, and it's just never has come through for me. This down move. Here you can see the VIX just fading lower and lower and lower. And we did get that little pop yesterday, but as soon as it appeared, it's just gone. And we've seen this happen over and over again. The bears can't seem to put together any sort of a sell-off. Once every few days, of rally, you might get a little down move, but it is quickly bought and filled in. And on top of that, we have not seen the stimulus go through. To me, not having the stimulus package go through is also very bearish for the market, but the market continues to shake it off. And honestly, if the market continues to shake this stuff off, then it becomes less and less likely that we actually get a stimulus. So very frustrating, and it definitely has implications for the economy, but the market just seems to continue to just shake this stuff off over and over again. And my fear is that I'll finally throw in the towel on getting that down move in the market. And as soon as I throw in the towel and say, okay, and buy a couple Apple calls or something, that is when that down move will come. So for me, emotionally, to get through this time period, it's very hard for me to change my positioning here, because the last thing I want to do is get whipsawed and, for example, start selling some volatility with the VIX down at this lower level, and then just finally that move comes and I just get crushed, being in the opposite situation. Now, as a market maker, this reminds me of a situation I was in several years ago with a company called Leapfrog. Now, Leapfrog, you might be familiar with. makes software for kids. So it's like these like kind of video games, but they're actually educational learning materials. Anyway, I had a position in Leapfrog. Now, generally, as a market maker, the positions you have are because of the order flow. Now, I know that would sound obvious, but especially when you're in a small pit, you have to take down the order flow. That's kind of your responsibility. If you're in a big pit, you can kind of pick and choose. But if you're in a very small pit with just a couple market makers, someone comes in and wants to sell a bunch of calls, you have to take them down. Now, you can try to move the price as low as possible as you take them down, and you certainly would try to do that. But I was in a situation with Leapfrog where people came in and wanted to just sell us calls, sell us options. I can't really remember if it was calls or puts, but I owned options in Leapfrog, and it just continued to just sit, right? And it was, we got the prices down pretty low, so it wasn't costing that much per day, but the thing just would not move. And this went on for like 6 months, right? I had this back spread. I owned calls, and it just wouldn't move. And, finally, you can see where this is going. A month came where they stopped selling any calls. I had no position on, and that was when the thing just started gapping one way to the other. And so what I'm trying to avoid right now is a similar situation where, I've been, buying some puts in like Lulu or put spreads, a little bit in Apple, a little bit in W. This W is amazing, by the way. Let's take a quick look at that one. And the last thing I want to do is, okay, I abandon my position, and then finally the down move comes. There's nothing in the macro economy to have super, super optimism right now. And I don't think that, an announcement of a vaccine is going to just turn the economy around somehow. That's people that are playing the market seem to think that somehow, like, we get a vaccine and everything is wonderful. I don't necessarily see that happening. Look at this Wayfair. So this company we like to think of it as making like high-end beds. It's that kind of thing, fancy furniture. And they've just done really well. They went from a loss and predicting a loss through next year to actually a big positive gain on their last earnings. And the stock has just exploded. It's gone from, I believe, $21. Look at this move, okay? That's 6 months. Let's go to yearly. So from $21 up to $324. So this is the kind of issue that I've been, buying small put spreads, this sort of thing. As I said, the last thing I want to do here is, turn around and get long something like this, and then the market finally gives back. My feeling is just that the market is rich right now, and that it will kind of come back into line. And back into line to me means that we're not making all-time highs with the U.S. economy not doing so well. A lot of people out of work. Look at them. Go to your local mall and look what's going on in there. There's nothing going on there, right? I'm in Massachusetts. Go outside my place to go to the pool. Guess what? There is no pool. I'm going to go play mini golf. There's no mini golf. In fact, Massachusetts just went back from allowing gatherings of 100 people. Now they've cut it back down to 50 people. So all of this bad mojo is not reflected in the market. And I saw again yesterday, you're on Facebook and someone says something about the virus, and some guy, someone always comes on and quips, oh, well, as soon as the election's over, the COVID won't exist anymore, as if the whole COVID thing is just a conspiracy by the left to smear the president. That statement is, first of all, it's insulting to all the people that have died. But it's a kind of like cutesy statement to like just dismiss the whole this whole COVID tragedy, which has hit our country. Now, not that many people have died in a way. I was looking online at like how many people are killed by the flu every year. And now most of the people that are killed by the flu are over 65. So it could be that, if it wasn't the flu, something else would be taking these people out. But the stat I saw was that like something like 40,000 people are killed every flu season, right? So that's like a third maybe of the people that have been killed by the COVID this year. So, not a huge, the people that have been killed by COVID is not a huge order of magnitude higher than people that get killed by the flu every year. And I get that. In the grand scheme of numbers, the people that have been killed by COVID is not huge at this moment. Now, all disclaimers, we don't want even one person to die, but it's not huge at this moment. However, the disruption that COVID has caused to the economy and to jobs is real. And a lot of people were hanging on because they had this extra support from Congress, and that's gone now, and there's a deadlock in this help. And so every day that goes by now that there's no longer that $600 is severely hurting a lot of people out there in the world. And certainly there is some truth to the fact that people that don't have this extra help are more likely to get off their ass and go get a job. There is some truth to that, of course. I remember I was working for a while in Hyannis, which is near me, and I was living in this place. I had 2 restaurant jobs, and the other people in my house were just on unemployment. Unemployment at that point lasted 99 weeks, so they had like 2 years of unemployment, and they just sat at home, waited for their check, and once they got their unemployment check, they actually went out seriously and bought crack cocaine and spent their unemployment check on that every week. And surprise, surprise, as soon as the unemployment dried up, the next week, the other people in my house went out and got a job. Okay, so there is some truth to that whole thing with $600 and going out and getting a job. However, there is also some truth to the fact that there just aren't those jobs out there to get for many people, and for a vast group of people who can't get the other job and who is struggling to pay rent. There are impending defaults on a lot of things. And this stuff does affect the economy, and it does affect people's ability to buy stuff. There are less people out there that can afford to go out and buy a $99 Lululemon yoga pants right now than there were before this. And, that is a reality that is not reflected in the markets as far as I'm concerned. So there we are. It has not gone well for me recently. Let's take a look at the VIX curve right now. Let's go to VIX Central and check it out. I wonder, I probably have lost a couple people with my rants about the economy and whatnot, but look at this contango level here, 15.95%. That is a big, big number, okay? Let's call it 16. Instead of calling it 16%, let's just call it 15% to be conservative, okay? So if we do quick math, 15%, right? So that means, where is UVXY right now? UVXY is 21 right now, right? So, why did I just close that? So, if we take 15% of 21, now those of you who have worked in the restaurant industry can do this quite quickly, right? 10% of 21 is 210, right? 15% of 21 is 210 plus half of that. So let's call it around $3. So this thing is decaying by $3 a month UVXY, right? At that 15% decay. So that means 21 now, it will be $3 lower in a month, all things equal, down to 18 just on decay, right? So this is a significant amount of decay. However, the big question is, what happens after the election? because we've got this big ramp here, and then now it's looking a little different now. Before it was like way up and then down after, and it still is kind of the same. The difference is just the scaling, because this has become so much steeper. This down move after October has stayed the same. What's gotten steeper is this ramp up here. So the question is, does everything just roll way lower after the election, or does something else happen? So that's the real question. It's like if you're putting on a long-term position, this contango thing, does it just help you until October and then we're in a new ground? That's a real big question for us with the VIX right now. However, what we do know is that in the last month or so, we've had just a nice down move in UVXY, VXX, etc. If we go back and check in on our old friend TVIXX, TVIXF, down to 68, right? So all of those who shorted this at 1,000, which there aren't very many of, but those, I do know somebody who shorted at 200. Some people were shorted from 38 all the way up. You know, you're coming back. You're making a huge comeback in TVIX if you just hung in there, right? UVXY, and we're still not down. We're not double where we came from, which is good, but we're still not making new lows in these products. If we look at UVXY here, we're double, right? The reason we're not double in TVIX is just because from the decay of it being a 2 times leveraged product. But UVXY, we're still double where we started here. But we are making progress in these products, and they continue to decay. It's very hard for me, who has not been riding it down the whole way, to jump on here at a relatively low level to be shorting this stuff. I have a lot of baggage in the back of my head as a trader. This other one, Carvana, this was an interesting one. I did have a nice trade in Carvana last week where we got this big move up, right on the Thursday. You know, we got this rip on the Thursday, and I actually, right on the close, I did buy, right up here, I did buy, I just bought, I think, 1 or 2 of the 200 puts way up here for 42 cents, and we ran all the way through a strike, all the way down to 190. Unfortunately, I bought these puts up here for one day, and I sold them out. I should have just held on to it, and it would have gone from 40 cents to like, $1,000, because it did get down to 190, but I didn't hold on. But Carvana, just this big rip up, and it seemed nonsensical that we got that big rip up, and indeed it did come back into line. So anybody who had taken a short-term short in Carvana would have capitalized on that kind of irrational. We see, the more likely thing we see these days is these kind of irrational exuberance moves to the upside and then stuff coming sort of back in. You could call what's happened in Tesla over the last month a similar situation to that, where like we got this huge move to the upside and then it kind of came back in a little bit, right? Boom. Same with Carvana. But we just have not seen any real ability to sell off here in the market. The dip buyers are so strong, and it almost feels like it would take a few sessions of down moves to kind of curtail the incredible optimism that is going in this market right now. It seems like, in a way, that like the stock market is one of the few bright points in the country, and people are clinging to the fact that the stock market is doing well, as opposed to the rest of life in the U.S. There's several reports that have come out that say like people are more depressed now than they have been in a while. Well, the one bright spot is the stock market, and people continued to buy it. And as for me, it seems still like it's gone up too much, and I can't get that out of my head, but it has not been profitable for me to play for a down move here. We'll see what happens in the future. VVIX still elevated. I was going to say accelerated. VVIX still elevated here. We saw the up move yesterday, and kind of giving mixed signals here, right? Yesterday, we had the VIX pop. It was up like 4 points at one point, and VVIX up. But when I looked into the VVIX pop yesterday, a lot of it was actually put buying to the downside. So I made this point before, but when you look at VVIX and you see a pop, you want to see where that came from. And the way to do that is to go to VIX and to check your time and sales for the day. So if I go to option time and sales here, now the top two lines here are going to show like the top two trades. But if you go down to this next line that has everything else and you click on quantity, you can have it show you the biggest trades first. And we can see here that, the big trades here are, well, this is a put seller. Here, there's both a put buyer and put seller, so that's kind of hard to say what that is. That's kind of strange, huh? In the same moment, two prices for this put. That looks kind of shady, doesn't it? It's like they, what, in the same exact second, they paid two prices for the same option? What the heck is that? That looks shady to me. But the paper here seems mixed. I mean, when you see something like this appears to be a call buyer here, right? Nov 85 calls, trades 68 cents. The market's 60 bid at 70. Looks like they bought those calls, right? So that would be evidence of a legitimate VVIX pop. But when you've got, and same with like a put seller, but the thing is like a really cheapo option, like a way out of the money put, is not really indicative of direction, really. These guys are probably selling these puts to buy, they're probably selling these puts to buy some other, to take the premium and buy some other call. That's been a big trade in the VIX lately, is to sell out of the money puts to buy out of the money calls. That way you have a shot. If there's a big pop, you make some money and you can fund it by selling out of the money puts. We've seen that trade talked about a lot by, kind of like the Theo trade type traders here. And indeed, a lot of these options are way out of the money puts. It's fairly common to see way out of the money calls. It's fairly common to see way out of the money call buyers in VVIX. That is a hedge against a long portfolio. That way, in a doomsday scenario, you have a little protection on your wings, as we call it. That's what buying like the 85 calls is. In fact, some funds for regulatory reasons are forced to limit their risk for a certain move, and they can do so by buying, in relative terms, cheap VIX options. Wow, Tesla up 121 now as we watch the market, with Apple up almost $10 as well. Lulu also up. So there you go. It's been a little bit of a long one here today, but lot going on. Let's see. You stay with me 1 second here. I'm going to pull up our chat really quick before I say goodbye to you. So that's kind of where we stand. Not a fabulous time for me in the markets for sure. But my plan is to just get smaller and smaller and smaller. When that kind of stuff happens and things aren't going well for me, I just get smaller and smaller and smaller. You stay with me until things turn around, and then I can scale up a little bit once I show some success. But, when you're not doing well, the last thing you want to do is just hand over money to people. And I can certainly sleep well at night knowing that I'm in cash. And it's hard to screw up too much being in cash completely. Scott Rosenthal, what is up, buddy? Mini golf is open. Yeah, so I want to go see some mini golf. My sister's in town with the family, so it's time to do a little mini golf. Thanks for watching. thanks everybody else for watching, and we will see you next time on the Short Vol Show live. Hang in there, folks. The rally continues here in the financial markets. My advice is, if you're making money, just keep doing what you're doing because you're doing better than me. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time on the Short Vol Show live.
You're watching Famous.